everybody, how's it going? Stabman coming right back at you again today, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the last three Friday the 13th movies. I know, I don't know how exactly I'm going to explain that in the title thing that I show you yet, but by the time you're seeing this, you probably have already seen how I decided to do that, so yeah. Anyways, I got this set because I had recently watched through, for I think the second time ever, the first 5 Friday the 13th movies, but I never actually got around to watching the last few in the series. I did see Jason X, never saw Freddy vs. Jason, still need to see that one, and I don't think I saw the 9th one either. I still need to see that one. But, yeah, and I haven't seen the remake either, so, yeah. But out of these first 8 here, I had only ever seen, like, the first 5, so, or at least I thought it was the first 5, right? And then I plopped the 6th one in, and I was like, oh, yeah, I've seen this one. Yeah, well, I think I maybe have actually only seen a few bits and pieces of the 6th one, but either way, I felt like, you know what, I went ahead and watched all of I watched 6, 7, and 8. I might as well do a little review of those ones since I watched them for Halloween, right? Well, as predicted, as you can usually predict with the later movies in a horror franchise series, they weren't very good. There were some interesting things about them, some interesting things that they did, but there was nothing that really stands out as above the crowd as being amazing or fantastic or anything like that, or funny, or, you know, I guess there are some funny moments, but for the most part there's nothing necessarily spooky or scary or cool that they did with those, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions. I think in fact only 1 exception, but well, let's talk about that. Friday the 13th Part 6, that's the one where Tommy, or what's-his-face, comes back to make sure that Jason is dead. Jason is dead and buried in this one, and he digs up the grave and, you know, just starts beating away at Jason and ends up, like, driving a metal stake through his dead corpse of a heart, and then lightning strikes the metal rod and Jason comes back to life. Good job, Tommy. Great job. I'm sorry if that was a spoiler, but don't worry, it's not that good of a movie. At least I don't take it too seriously, you know what I mean? The way the movie is shot, the way that the dialogue it plays out and everything, it's like they know this isn't that great of a movie, you know? They know there's nothing too terribly special about this one, but, you know, I can't say it's a terrible movie. I'll just say, like, you know, the impetus for it, the very beginning, the opening scene that makes it the whole movie work, is just an example of someone being frickin' stupid, and really, he's the one who gets everyone killed if you think about it, because he's the one who brought Jason back to life. What an idiot. What a major buffoon. His fear over Jason convinced him that he needed to do more, when in reality he just made things worse. Yeah. So, it's one of those moments in a horror movie where you're just yelling at the screen like, God, you're an idiot. Don't listen to this guy. He's the one who brought him back, you know? But I will note a few things. The way the movie is shot feels like I was about to say credit card commercial, because there's a scene where you see like a credit card and some cash floating in some water. I won't say why, I won't say what it's all about, but the way it's shot, it feels like they did that specific shot so they could put it in the credit card movie and say, American Express, don't leave home without it. Even though you're dead now. It's just cheese. It's pure cheese. And there's nothing necessarily terrible about it. It's not the worst movie in the franchise by far, and even if it were, it wouldn't be like one of the worst movies ever made. It's not Hellraiser. Let's be honest here. If we're talking about like horror movie franchises with terrible sequels, Hellraiser takes the fucking cake. Oh my god, anything after 3 is just garbage. Don't even bother watching it. I mean, I guess you could bother watching 4, but anything beyond that, and you're just torturing yourself. Literally, just some of the worst movies that have ever been made. So just don't even bother with them. But that's another series. I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about Friday the 13th. So on to Friday the 13th Part 7. I actually like some of the things that they do in Friday the 13th Part 7. In particular, I liked the new character in the film. Granted, I guess technically she also kind of sort of brings Jason back to life, you could say. But at the very least, she is a character who represents like a real supernatural threat to a supernatural villain like Jason. And I felt like that was a really interesting concept for it, because the way she gets things done, the way that she works, she doesn't even realize, she doesn't even get it. Her skills aren't necessarily honed. You know, there's somebody that's kind of trying to hone her skills, but they aren't necessarily super honed in this movie at any point whatsoever. So she's not necessarily well trained to fight off Jason, nor does she even know that she can really until maybe a little bit until the end. Like there's a bit at the end maybe where she kind of sort of does, but you know, I guess what I'm saying is I would love to see more. I kind of want to know more. I want to see if they maybe bring that character back later, like 20, 30 years later, and this time she's honed her skills and she's ready to fight Jason kind of thing. That to me sounds really cool. Cheesy as hell, yes, but most of the Friday the 13th movies are cheesy, let's just be honest. So it would be perfectly fitting for that cheesy story to be in there to bring her back later. And especially in the kind of stuff that we're doing now with horror movies like Halloween, the new Halloween movie that came out, you're seeing Laurie Strode come back as a badass woman who's going to take out Michael, you know what I mean? So I feel like there's definitely room for a badass woman from number 7 to come back and this time be completely honed, her skills completely honed and ready to take him on and all that stuff. And so that's one of the reasons that I like the movie. It's still cheesy. It's still not very good. There's still a lot of issues with it. But you can kind of overlook those issues, I think, just because like the plot for it, the idea for it was pretty cool. And I would love to see more of that. But let's get to part 8 here. This one is Jason Takes Manhattan. And it's kind of all over the place. Because, first of all, it starts with a yacht drifting its way into Crystal Lake, which, are these people aware of what a lake is? Do they know what a lake is? It's a body of water. There's no way to drift into it from, like, the sea or something. It's a body of water. Why is a yacht? Did they plop the yacht down into that water? It just doesn't make any damn sense. It makes no freaking sense whatsoever that yacht would even be there at all. But it goes from that to being Jason on a boat at one point. Not necessarily the yacht that I'm talking about, but Jason on a boat. And you think that's going to be the whole movie, and then the boat ends up drifting into Manhattan. And so there it is, Jason Takes Manhattan. Jason actually ends up in Manhattan. And I will say, like, some of the death scenes in that one are they're so cheesy. They're so stupid in a lot of ways. But they're stupid funny, you know what I mean? They're not necessarily, like, bad and not enjoyable in the least. They're bad, but at the very least, it just makes you laugh at how stupid it is, you know? And at that point, it feels like they understand that they're not working with the best material ever, and they're just kind of poking fun at the whole Jason premise, and they're poking fun at the whole horror movie thing, and You know, they're having fun with it, I guess is what I would say. They're not necessarily trying to make something serious, they're just trying to make something fun. And I feel like they do a pretty damn good job with that. That being said, again, it's all over the place. It's like it's a movie that doesn't know what it wants to be. The plot isn't really good. It's pretty terrible in a lot of ways. I would say it's definitely the worst of all of the Jason movies. Just not good at all. And, well, I can't say it's not good at all because, again, there are moments when you'll laugh because of how cheesy somebody dies or something like that, you know. But other than that, I mean, there's nothing really redeemable about that movie. Yeah, you get to see Jason in a completely different location. You get to see him in Manhattan. Whoa. And you get to see him on a boat. Whoa. Completely different from anything you're familiar with in any of the other movies. Whoa. But nothing really incredible there. I guess like the tail end of it is pretty interesting, a cool concept, but it's like it's not necessarily original because a lot of the stuff that was coming out at that time was it had that same kind of concept going for it. I don't want to give too much away, but it's just like, yeah, that's straight out of the 80s. That's not original. That had been in several movies before then and after. So, you know, you're not treading new ground with that one. It feels like they wanted to make something that pushed the envelope with Jason, and they just ended up doing the most stupid thing possible to push the envelope. It's just, yeah, it's not it's not a very good movie. I don't recommend watching it more than once if you don't, or at all if you don't want to. The first 7 are, well, if I had to give a ranking to all of the movies, I would say I like the first one, obviously. And the second one, the third one is okay. The fourth one is pretty damn cool. I think the fourth one might be one of my favorites just because of everything that happens in it. But then, of course, the one of the main characters in the fourth one is... I don't want to give it away. It's just that where that ends up leading isn't very good. I'll put it that way. I've already talked about it kind of in this video if you go back. But, yeah. The fourth one is still pretty cool, regardless. Like that one. The fifth one, I gather that a lot of people don't like the fifth one, but I thought it was funny as hell. Like, if you take it more as a horror comedy than something serious, then freaking hilarious, brilliant, loved it for a lot of those reasons. I'd say that's like a 7 out of 10 for me, because it's just... yeah, it's cheesy. No, it's not technically good, but it's hilarious. It's because it's funny, I enjoy it. So, yeah. Say what you will, but I think it's pretty damn good. Part 6, meh. Not too terrible, but meh. Part 7, I want to see where that goes after the fact. And I think because it's gotten this interesting premise behind it, it's a pretty cool movie that's deserving of a little bit of respect. You know, definitely should check it out at some point. And part 8, meh, but there are some funny moments, I guess. It's very meh, though. It's very bad. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on 1 through 8, I guess, of the Friday the 13th series. And, yeah, maybe at some point I'll get around to watching 9 and Freddy vs. Jason and the remake of Friday the 13th. But, I don't know. Let me know if you have any interest in hearing my thoughts about those. Otherwise, I'll just stick to this. Okay? Yeah. But anyways, that'll do it for me. Thanks for watching, you guys. Catch you later. Peace.